Hello, my name's Chris Cubbage. I'm the editor with My Security Media. This is episode 6 in our Security and Risk Professional Insight series, looking at advancements and applications for critical infrastructure protection and high security environments. This ticks off on our drones, robotics and autonomous systems as well. So definitely hitting on AI and a deep dive into AI. I'd like to welcome our panel today, Greg Sadler, CEO with Good Ancestors Policy, with the Australian for AI Safety, SYGO, there in Kuala Lumpur. Greg's in Canberra, by the way. SYGO, who welcoming back from KL, and he is the ISACA Emerging Trends Working Group and also Head of Compliance with Advanced AI. SY, thanks for joining us again. Shannon Davis, based in Melbourne, Principal Security Strategist with Splunk Surge. Dr. Mahendra Samarawikrama, he's the Director of the Centre of Sustainable AI. Mahendra, he's in Sydney. Mahendra, it's great to have you on. We've been talking about having you on for so long, so it's great to have you joining us. And from Adelaide, Lana Tikhom-Ivorov, PhD candidate with the Australian Institute for Machine Learning with the University of Adelaide. Lana, thanks also for joining us. We're going to keep it relatively broad today in terms of AI, ML and automation and aligning safety and cybersecurity. And Mahendra, I can't keep up with you. You're better off telling us what you're currently doing. And I don't know if you've got live research on, but I know that you've taken on a few AI roles for enterprise to start to guide and help them.
Thank you, Chris. So the Centre for AI, since it's established, working with national and international organizations to supporting establishing standards for AI governance, ethics, and then we later evolved into multiple emerging technologies, because AI is no longer a silo. It is tightly integrated with cybersecurity and some of the emerging technologies like robotics, drone, and some of the cognitive services. So the Center for Sustainable AI role is supporting enterprises, national and not, especially not-for-profits and government organizations to establishing their framework for governance and best practices. And we are closely working with some of the leading organizations like Harvard Business Review, IEEE, and the evolution of the standards are quite critical these days because of this generative AI and emerging risks. So we support actively to adapt and integrate this into the enterprises.
Nice. Well, we'll come back to you, NSY, in terms of guidance on what standards to follow. Seems like everyone's kind of issuing guidelines and standards and frameworks, and it's hard to know which one to go by. Mahendra, I think the other one is, from your perspective, where we're currently at, there's still an opportunity here for the auditing and the risk professionals, because it is, even with the guidelines coming out today, you need to do a risk impact assessment or the AI impact assessment. There's a privacy impact assessment. So there is opportunity there right now for risk professionals. One of the feedbacks from ISACA last week was there's no real set certification standard just yet for risk professionals to say, yep, I'm an AI certified auditor, or I'm an AI certified cybersecurity professional. How do we go about it? Is this the opportunity here now for security and risk professionals to take on that role of evaluator? And we'll come back to Shannon after this in terms of the research and how they do their research with a cybersecurity hat on. But how do you approach it? You take that risk-based approach?
Yeah. So when we looking into this, how this landscape evolved, initially everyone like if you go like 4 or 5 years back, a lot of people talk about responsible AI, which is quite voluntary frameworks. For example, United States particularly, they didn't go into regulatory perspectives. They have NIST, AI Risk Management Framework, which is quite a voluntary framework. At the same time, I know there for cybersecurity specialists, they also has a NIST cybersecurity framework. So the regulatory framework comes with a risk appetite. Now, over time, what is happening is with AI and the data particularly, there are also significant risks for privacy violation and deep fake, and leaders identified like there should be a significant governance. So there is this aspect is quite complex because AI is a quite enabler for economics perspective, and different countries also have different mindset on AI. For example, we can't blame anyone, but if you're looking into different countries, they have different risk appetite. So if a one country put highly regulatory framework for AI, they might get disadvantage. Now that is where this should be carefully handled. Now we saw like how the GDPR emerged for data governance. Like if we looking into AI or cybersecurity, there are intersection on data, like because after all they all information systems where it can be boiled down to data, people, hardware, software, and processes. So what is happening now, since data is like an intersection pillar, now data governance is very important for the quality of the both services like AI and cybersecurity. Now we have seen how regulatory frameworks emerged and established that quality. For example, GDPR is considered as a golden standard for data privacy and security and governance, which play a significant role on like as a mandatory regulatory framework. Now, in the similar way, for algorithms and like more specific AI perspective, now EU AI Act is emerged. Now, I think these regulatory perspectives are important, but risk is not the only, for your question, risk is not the only way of looking, because we all know as leaders, the ethics play a significant role. Now, ethics and governance is the main focus. And in that perspective, sometimes sustainability, ethics can play a role on these governance and best practices. Like, for example, there are United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, responsible AI principles, which mainly focused, not mainly focused on risks only. They focused on health and well-being, fairness, social justice, so many areas. At the same time, some framework, for example, particularly because of world know the impact of EU AI Act, which highly aligned with risk management. Now Australia is now talking on not only responsible AI, but safe and responsible AI. This safe term is like recently added to our vocabulary in the AI, which promoted through this EU AI Act, and which we know, which make a significant, and organizations should be like familiar and aligned with that future emerging regulatory framework.
I think it's a good point. Yeah, I think it's a good point in terms of the terminology changes a little bit. Safety definitely coming in. You mentioned responsibility and ethics, but now safety is coming in. Hendra, you talk about cognition as well, and the psychology. I take it that comes into the way, in fact, most of the presentations I've seen you talking about seems to be talking about human psychology and cognition. You're on mute, just in check.
So yeah, that's correct, Chris. It's a little bit complex topic, the consciousness, because the consciousness play a vital role in modern day understanding of not only the AI but also the fundamental physics. So there are branches like easy problem of consciousness, but most of the time we are tackling like how our like through brain MRI like data like correlate how the decision makings behaviors correlates with the human data. And that's the easy problem of consciousness, what most of the time psychologists looking into. At the same time, there is a hard problem of consciousness where people think consciousness has nothing to do with the brain, and consciousness become fundamental. And that's a interesting topic that going into more deep into this.
I think it's probably why we hear Elon Musk talking a lot about consciousness as well, given what they're doing with computer brain interfaces and the like. And I think the other one is as Lana was talking, just on how advanced we are with driverless vehicles and the amount of AI and machine learning that's going on there, and it's active. So, we're quite advanced in some areas of practical AI tools, whereas it seems to be in other areas, we've still got a long way to go. Mahendra, again, you're on the speaking circuit from what I see. What are you doing day to day, and what's your takeaway with AI? How do you feel, optimistic or pessimistic?
No, definitely optimistic. I think these both terms, responsible AI and safe AI, there is a synergy between AI and cybersecurity. It is AI for cybersecurity and cybersecurity for AI. And we came a long way, and we almost identify main risks, biases, autonomous related jobs, and all these human augmentation, like human ethics. And like over the last decade, like people gone through so many brainstorming across data, across cybersecurity, across AI. And it's true, like technology also fast evolving, and AI became a new threat landscape for the cybersecurity. But I believe eventually, like once we promote these responsible AI frameworks and regulatory safety frameworks, unlike other technologies, these governance and compliance, all we can achieve through these frameworks, and ultimately we can establish a good ethical AI and secure data practices.
I think you're right. It does sound like the legislation's coming through much faster than what it did with, say, with cybersecurity and the like. Okay, look, thank you very much to our panel. Greg Stadler, CEO, Good Ancestors Policy, calling for an Australians for AI Safety Institute. SYGO there in KL, SACA Emerging Trends Working Group and Head of Compliance with Advanced AI. Shannon Davis in Melbourne, Principal Security Strategist, Splunk Surge, and Dr. Mahendra Samarawikrama, Director of Centre for Sustainable AI, and Lana Tikhomarov, PhD candidate, Australian Institute of Machine Learning, there at Lot 14 in the University of Adelaide. Thank you so much to each of you. Very good discussion. This will be released as a podcast on our Cybersecurity Weekly podcast and MySecurity TV. Thank you very much to our sponsors, Curtin University, Security Exhibition and Conference, DAVCOR, and then our supporters, ASIAL, ASIS, and AIPIO. I'll see you later tonight for the virtual awards at 7 p.m. and then in Singapore next week. And for those in Sydney, very much following on from this particular session, AI and robotics is that forefront, and we see that in medtech as well. But as we mentioned, driverless cars and a whole range of industrial applications as well. Thank you very much for coming. We'll see you on our next episode. And as mentioned, this will be available in our Security and Risk Professional Insight series. I'll close the meeting, but thanks very much for joining us. And thank you very much, panel. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.